This morning's nomination hearing, and when we have a quorum present, we will recess the hearing and move to voting out the nominees. But we'll go ahead and start the hearing while we're waiting for other members to pull out of other committees that are meeting simultaneously. And as soon as we get a quorum, we'll suspend. We now turn to this morning's nomination hearing. With us are Michael Graham, nominee for member of the National Transportation Safety Board; Ethan Klein, nominee for Associate Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy and U.S. Chief Technology Officer; and Joyce Meyer, nominee for Undersecretary of Commerce for Economic Affairs. Mr. Graham is a safety professional and aviator who began his career in the Navy flying combat missions in Operation Desert Storm. After nearly a decade of military service, he worked at Boeing McDonnell Douglas and then at Textron Aviation, the manufacturer of the Cessna aircraft. Mr. Graham oversaw the safety, security, and standardization of all flight operations at Textron. Since January 2020, he has served as a board member on the NTSB, actively participating in on-site investigations, analyzing and approving reports, and spearheading initiatives to improve safety across the transportation sector. Our next nominee, Ethan Klein, will serve as U.S. Chief Technology Officer within OSTP. In this role, Mr. Klein will help oversee tech policy for the administration and promote development in emerging fields like artificial intelligence. We know Beijing is marshaling its state resources to become the global leader in AI by 2030. America must not fall behind. I was very encouraged by the administration's AI action plan, which OSTP helped to author, and I'm confident that Mr. Klein will be a key player in this new era of geopolitical competition. An MIT-educated nuclear scientist, Mr. Klein served in OSTP during the first Trump administration as a policy advisor to now Director Michael Kratsios. He helped draft executive orders on artificial intelligence, drones, and biotechnology. And now, beyond advancing frontier research and development, he will drive the transfer of technology from lab to market, not through the heavy hand of the state, as China is doing, but in the American way, through free enterprise. Finally, we have Joyce Meyer, whose decades of fiscal and administrative experience prepare her to oversee the census as Undersecretary of Commerce for Economic Affairs. On Capitol Hill, she served as a longtime aide to former Speaker of the House and noted fiscal wonk, Paul Ryan. In the first Trump administration, she served as a Deputy Assistant to the President for Legislative Affairs. And now, she is a Senior Advisor at the Commerce Department, currently detailed to the White House. Ms. Meyer, who holds an MBA from Georgetown, will be a steady economic hand amid potential changes in markets. I look forward to hearing from her and all of our nominees today. I now turn to Ranking Member Cantwell.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Graham, we'll start with you. ADSB is a technology that can receive or transmit location, altitude, velocity to air traffic control and other nearby aircraft faster than radar or other transponders. Unfortunately, the Army Black Hawk helicopter involved in the mid-air collision above the Potomac earlier this year was not transmitting ADSB, despite operating in congested airspace with civilian aircraft. This meant the Black Hawk, which should have never been flying in that area in the first place, was completely dark to airplanes arriving at DCA. In July, I introduced the Rotor Act, which would require all aircraft, commercial, business, general aviation, and military, to transmit their locations via ADSB. Widespread adoption of ADSB will improve aviation safety, as noted by your colleague, NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy. The NTSB has long called for broader use of ADSB. Mr. Graham, should virtually all aircraft be required to transmit their locations via ADSB and to receive ADSB signals from nearby aircraft?
Chairman Cruz, thank you for that question. First of all, as far as ADSB goes, with respect to the accident, it'd be inappropriate for me to draw any conclusions at that point because it hasn't been presented to the board as a final report with probable cause and conclusions, findings, recommendations. But as far as ADSB technology goes, It has an incredible safety potential if implemented correctly. I think it has great benefit for the future of being able to, for airports that don't have ground radar or any other kind of radar. I think those systems that are called the SAI initiative that the FAA is putting in control towers, I think is great. The problem they have right now is they haven't put any warning or caution systems, either audio or visual, for the controllers to alert the controller that there might be an impending incursion. I've seen some of the technology that some of the avionics manufacturers are using it for in the cockpit, which is one of our recommendations that go back to 2000, that we ask for not just the control towers to have this data and be able to see aircraft, but also in the cockpit so pilots can start reacting quicker than waiting for a controller to tell them. So I believe in ADSB technology in the future, and I do think, especially in Class B airspace, in my personal opinion, all aircraft should have that on and when they're operating in that area.
In your professional judgment, would the flying public be safer if the Rotor Act were passed and ADSB in and out were required for aircraft in commercial airspace?
Thank you, Chairman Cruz, for that question. First of all, the NTSB, we don't normally endorse any legislation, but we do look at our recommendations that have been out there for some time, and I noticed some of those are included in the Rotor Act. We're always trying to have our recommendations either implemented by the regulator or legislatively by this body.
Okay, let me just try for a straightforward answer. Would the flying public be safer if ADSB in and out were required?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Klein, in your role at OSTP during the first Trump administration, you advanced the nation's AI strategy through the American AI Initiative and helped establish the tenets outlined in the 2020 National Artificial Intelligence Initiative Act. Some of those tenets were abused by the Biden administration. For instance, the Biden administration diverted NIST from its job of developing technical standards to policing what they called disinformation and stereotyping in AI, both of which were masked up censorship. As stakeholders and lawmakers talk about wanting to more tightly regulate AI, they should keep in mind that the last time Congress authorized AI standards-related activity, the American AI Initiative ended up being used by woke leftists in the Biden administration to guard against supposed harms like misgendering on ChatGPT or ChatGPT downplaying climate change. Thankfully, the Trump administration has put a stop to this nonsense and is stamping out woke AI. Why do you think the core tenets of the 2020 National AI Initiative Act, based on OSTP's earlier work, were implemented in unexpected ways during the Biden administration? Was that a departure from the statute or a result of the law's open-ended language, and how can we guard against it moving forward?
Chairman Cruz, thank you for your question. I had been involved in drafting of the 2019 executive order, which was the first ever signed by a president on artificial intelligence. And the language that we had used at that time was seeking to reduce barriers to safe testing and deployment that would help enable an industry adoption and ensure public trust in these technologies. In my personal belief, I think NIST, as a former National Bureau of Standards, is an excellent place to do use case and sector-specific standards that can help enable industry adoption and enable public trust. I think that the position of this administration is very much focused on that in terms of the America's AI Action Plan and the task specifically given to the Office of Science and Technology Policy in issuing an RFI that will seek to identify those kinds of barriers and places where we may need either deregulatory action, greater use of exemptions, waivers, or regulatory sandboxing, or places where we may actually need more regulatory clarity to, again, ensure industry adoption and public trust in this technology.
Thank you. Ranking Member Cantwell.